Welcome back to Talk Tickers. You know we love digging into those juicy earnings calls, and today we're all about Globus Medical. They just had their Q4 2024 call.
Yeah, and these guys are really leading the charge when it comes to musculoskeletal technology. I mean, think robotic surgery, imaging, all that cool stuff.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, give us the big picture, how they do.
Well, they absolutely crushed it in 2024, brought in a whopping $2.519 billion in revenue.
Whoa, hold on, 2.5 billion, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a 61% jump from the year before. Pretty impressive growth, right?
That's not just growth, that's like a hockey stick, straight up. Got to be those robots, right? Their Excelsius system.
You got their enabling tech segment, which includes that platform saw sales jump 44% just in Q4. They're placing a ton of those units.
So surgeons are loving it. How many procedures have they done now?
Over 94,000 since Excelsius launched. So yeah, safe to say it's catching on.
Okay, so robots are hot, but what really caught my eye was this Nevro Corporation acquisition. $250 million to the neuromodulation folks, right?
Exactly, using that tech for chronic pain. But here's the kicker.
Oh, there's more.
Globus is hinting they see potential way beyond just pain management, talking about next-gen spinal implants, even data mining, wild stuff.
So they're thinking big picture, long-term strategy with this. Makes sense given how big that market is.
For sure, this acquisition puts them right in the middle of a potential $2 billion market. Plus, they're already debt-free after that invasive merger last year.
Wait, they merged with Nuvasive too. That's huge.
Big year for them. That deal brought in a whole bunch of new products, and tech seems to be paying off big time.
Yeah, no kidding. 2.5 billion in revenue. What about their profit though?
Non-GAAP earnings per share hit a record $3.04, up 31% from last year. They're killing it.
Okay, so the numbers look fantastic, but what's actually driving all this? Like, what are the hot products, the innovations they're pushing?
They're not just resting on their laurels, that's for sure. In 2024 alone, they launched 18 new products.
Wow, 18. What are some of the highlights?
A lot of it is in the minimally invasive surgery space. Smaller incisions, faster recovery times. That's what patients want.
Definitely a trend we're seeing across healthcare. So Globus, you're riding that wave.
For sure. Their Cortex-MIS system for cervical and upper thoracic spine surgery is a great example. Also, the Allegiance retractor system for ALIF procedures.
Sounds like they're targeting specific needs there. Very niche.
Yep, but they're not just focused on the U.S. Their international business is booming too.
Really? How's that going?
Record sales in Q4, up 13%, even after adjusting for currency fluctuations. Japan, the UK, Italy, Ireland, they're doing well all over.
Global domination. I like it. What about ambulatory surgery centers? Are they tapping into that market?
Oh, yeah. Big time. They've got this new Excelsius Flex robotic navigation platform specifically for ASCs.
Makes sense. Those centers are often smaller, more budget conscious.
This platform could really open up a whole new market for them. It's a smart move.
So they're growing the product line, expanding globally, going after new markets, busy bees over there.
For sure. And they're not afraid to be bold. That whole neuromodulation thing, using it for more than just pain, that shows they're thinking outside the box.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with that. But before we get into their future plans and predictions for 2025, let's take a closer look at this Nevro deal. What does it really mean for them in the long run?
Agreed. This isn't just adding another product to the shelf. This could be a real game changer for their position in the whole musculoskeletal market.
So big year for Globus in 2024. But what about the future? What are they saying about 2025 and beyond?
Well, they're definitely feeling good about 2025, projecting revenue between $2.8 billion and $2.9 billion.
So even bigger than this past year, huh? That includes the Nevro numbers, I assume.
Yeah, it does. But they're also expecting solid organic growth from the rest of the business, enabling tech implants, international markets, all firing on all cylinders.
Okay, so not just a one-hit wonder. They've got multiple engines driving things forward. But what about profitability? Revenue is one thing, but are they making money?
Oh, yeah. They are projecting non-GAAP earnings per share between 3.10 and 3.40 for 2025.
So steady growth there too, but that Nevro deal, does that hurt their bottom line initially?
Actually, they're saying it'll be accretive to earnings in the second year, so short-term maybe a little impact, but long-term it's all good.
Smart move. Anything else interesting in this strategy? Any changes to how they do things?
One thing that stood out is they're focusing on bringing manufacturing in-house for the NuVasive products.
So cutting out the middleman, that should boost their margins, right?
Exactly. They're projecting adjusted gross margin to be between 67.5% and 68.5% for 2025.
Nice. So streamlining the operation, squeezing out more profit.
Right.
classic business move, but they're not just cutting costs, right? They're still investing in R&D to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. We've got 6% to 7% of their projected 2025 net sales allocated to R&D. They're constantly working on new and improved products.
So robots, implants, biologics, all that good stuff. What are they focusing on in R&D?
Yeah, all of that, plus they're looking at how to make things even less invasive and more personalized for patients. That's a big area for them.
Makes sense. So they're not slowing down, but every company faces challenges, right? What could throw a wrench in their plans?
Well, competition is always a factor in this industry. New players pop up, existing ones get aggressive. It can put pressure on market share and pricing.
Yeah, that's true. And the FDA can be unpredictable too. Who knows what they'll do?
Right. And then there's the whole economic situation. Globally, things could get rocky.
So yeah, some risks to keep in mind, but it sounds like Globus is aware of these challenges and trying to mitigate them. I'd say their guidance is ambitious, but also realistic. They're not just blindly charging ahead.
I agree. They've got a solid track record, strong financials, and a clear vision for the future. They seem to be in a good spot.
They do, but let's zoom out for a second and look beyond just Globus.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Well, their story kind of highlights some of the bigger trends we're seeing in the MedTech industry as a whole, like minimally invasive surgery.
Yeah.
It's getting huge.
Yeah. Patients want less pain, faster recovery times. Globus is definitely capitalizing on that trend.
And it's not just about surgery itself. It's about the tech that makes those procedures possible. Robotics, navigation, imaging, all that.
Exactly. Those enabling technologies are key to making these surgeries more accessible and more effective.
But it's not just about the hardware anymore, right? It's about the data, too. All that information they're collecting during these procedures.
You got it. MedTech companies are swimming in data now, and they're starting to use it in really interesting ways, personalizing treatment plans, improving outcomes, even developing new products.
So MedTech is becoming more data-driven. That's fascinating. What about artificial intelligence, though? All the hype around AI in healthcare, where does that fit in?
Oh, AI is already making waves in MedTech, from image analysis to robotic surgery. It's changing the game, and we're just scratching the surface of what it can do.
So we've got minimally invasive surgery, enabling technologies, data analytics, and AI. That's a lot of change happening fast. What does all this mean for patients and doctors?
For patients, it means better outcomes, faster recovery times, and more personalized care, potentially even cures for diseases we thought were incurable. It's pretty exciting.
That's a great outlook. What about for the doctors and hospitals?
Well, it means greater efficiency, improved accuracy, and better decision-making. They can deliver better care and potentially lower costs. It's a win-win.
Sounds like it, but all this new tech, it can be expensive, right?
Yeah.
How do we make sure it's affordable and accessible to everyone?
That's the million-dollar question. One approach is value-based pricing, where the price reflects the value the technology brings. Another is focusing on developing cost-effective solutions that don't break the bank.
So it's not just about being cutting edge, it's about being practical and responsible with healthcare resources, making sure these innovations actually benefit everyone.
Absolutely. That's a crucial point to remember.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Globus's success, the trends shaping the industry, the implications for the future of healthcare. But before we wrap up, there's one more thing I want to do.
Okay, what's that?
All right, so, we love to speculate a little bit, so why don't we put on our trader hats for a minute and come up with a fun trade idea based on everything we've learned about Globus.
Always up for a little speculation, but gotta remind everyone, this is not financial advice, just us having some fun.
Of course, of course. So Globus has a lot going on. Where do we even start?
Well, that move into augmented reality is pretty intriguing, right? That AR headset for surgery?
Yeah, we could buy call options on Globus Bet that the headset takes off, but that's kind of boring, right? Too obvious.
I agree. Let's spice things up. How about we also buy call options on a smaller company that's developing similar AR tech?
Ooh, now you're talking. So we're hedging our bets, playing both the big established player and the little up-and-comer.
Yeah.
I like it.
Exactly. The smaller company, let's call them AR Surgical, they have that underdog potential. They could be more nimble, maybe have a tech advantage or a pricing strategy that undercuts Globus.
So if they gain traction, their stock could really explode. High risk, high reward, classic speculative play.
Exactly. But remember, this is all hypothetical. In the real world, there are always risks.
Of course, what if neither company's AR tech actually takes off or a bigger player comes in and just crushes them?
That's always a possibility. Our options could expire, worthless, and then there's the acquisition angle.
You mean Globus could just buy out AR Surgical and poof, they're gone?
Exactly. If Globus sees them as a threat or a valuable asset, they could just scoop them up. And our AR Surgical options might not be worth much, even if their tech is great.
So this trade is getting more complex and interesting by the minute, but that's the market for you, always full of surprises.
Absolutely. Which is why we always say this is just a thought experiment. Do your own research.
Hmm.
Assess the risks. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
All right, listeners. There you have it. Our wild but plausible trade idea, inspired by Globus Medical's adventures in augmented reality.
Just remember, this is not financial advice. We are not responsible for your investment decisions.
But it does show you how spotting opportunities is all about connecting the dots, seeing how different trends and companies might intersect.
Exactly. It's about anticipating the future and finding those hidden gems before everyone else does.
Well said. So to wrap up our deep dive into Globus Medical, we've seen a company that's innovating strategically and really positioning themselves for success in a rapidly changing industry.
They're definitely a company to watch, and their story gives us a glimpse into the exciting future of MedTech.
It's a future filled with possibilities for patients, for doctors, and of course for investors who can spot those emerging trends and capitalize on them.
Absolutely. It's all about staying ahead of the curve.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of earnings calls. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and as always, invest wisely.